AM 1060 WMEL. The views expressed on the following program are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and are not necessarily those of WMEL staff, management, or advertisers.
This is Joe Steckler, folks, your host for Helping Seniors, the radio arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County Incorporated. Our job is to inform, educate, and connect seniors and those that care for seniors with resources that can help them age with dignity and, in fact, in many cases, simply live. And you'd be surprised at how many things we uncover that the majority of people living in Brevard County know little or nothing about. And it's sad sometimes because we see people hurting that there is really no need for them to hurt if they simply knew about our program and what we can offer them. The phone number to reach Kay Kaiser, our information specialist, is area code 321-473-7770. 473-7770. Some of the sponsors for the first part of my show today include Kindred at Home. Kindred at Home is a hospital, long-term care hospital across from the airport. The Eye Institute, Dr. Lee Sheldon, Bill Johnson, elbow attorney. This radio station, WMEL AM 1060. Woodstock Hospital Systems, Levin Home Care, Atlantic Shores Rehab, Ebony News Today, Riverview Resort, Senior Resort, and Organized Creative Designs. And my panelists today, I'll mention them for the first part because I have with me in the studio today Steve and Christina Paff, who are the owners of In-Home Personal Services. In-Home Personal Services. And we were chatting before the show, and I find out a lot about my panelists just in the time we have either before the show or to break. And it's always interesting how you cross paths with people and find out where they come from and how much you really have in common with them. And as throughout the course of the show today, I think you'll see some of that. So welcome, Christina.
Thank you.
And welcome, Steve.
Thank you, sir.
Steve is the marketing guy for their company, and I'll let you tell. Everybody knows what a marketing guy is. You can talk a minute, Steve. I'll let you talk in a minute. But Christine, I think it's interesting that tell our listeners just what you are.
I have my doctorate in physical therapy, and I handle more of the caregiver client side of the business. So I deal with getting a caregiver in based on personality, demeanor with the client to be able to help best match that. We're huge on consistency for same care from the same caregiver throughout the course of the time so they get used to who they're dealing with. But I have the medical background, having my doctorate in therapy, so I do all the training of the caregivers so they know how to best functionally transfer, walk, safety, items like that.
So you help. Did you actually do you interview the patients too, don't you?
Yes, we do an assessment. If somebody calls us saying that they're interested in some services or they're not sure, a lot of times I can talk to them over the phone or go to their house, and we do an in-home assessment where I can take a look at the house to determine safety, grab bars, throw rugs, if they need an assisted device, items like that, and then help determine with the senior and the family a lot of times what they're needing assistance with. What are their safety implications? Because the moment somebody falls, it increases your risk tenfold of falling in the future. So we want to keep the fall risk at a minimum, and a lot of times that comes with one-on-one care. By having somebody with an elderly loved one throughout the day or evening hours or whenever they're most at risk can really help limit their fall risk because it helps give them a second pair of eyes, a second pair of ears to best be able to handle the situations that they come across.
That's good. Now, Steve, it's your turn. You're the marketing guy. I asked Christina about what she does. Why don't you tell us what In-Home Personal Services is?
Well, In-Home Personal, we like to think of ourselves as a little bit different than the average company out there. Having the clinician-owned, part of this business really, I think, makes us special. And my job is basically to get our message, her message, really out that there's alternative options out there that may be a little bit more suited for your needs. We also really pride ourselves on the personal touch that we provide. We're a husband and wife team. she's been doing this for a very long time. I've been in marketing for a long time, which that doesn't necessarily qualify me to be in this specific, industry. But, I think that the level of care that we bring along with, her experience, it really does separate us. And, my job is just to convey that message to the masses and get her pretty face out in front of as many people as we can.
Well, both of you, just my observation, and talking with you both before the show, some of the things you were telling me, I've been in the care business close to 30 years. And I don't have a care business background at all. I was trained to shoot torpedoes and sink ships. I mean, I'm a retired naval officer. I commanded a couple of submarines. But my last job was command the Navy retirement home. And in that position, I had 33 nurses and 3 doctors who worked for me.
Wow.
I had a hospital. I had an assisted living floor. I had 550 people. Their average age was 77. And they're younger than I am now.
Right.
So I had a 2-year period to end my career in the military to where I began to see what really good, concerned, caring care meant. I watched people age, and I watched people that were old and hurt mask a lot of their hurt because they knew somebody cared about what they were doing. And that's what I sense in the two of you with what you're trying to do. You moved here from Chicago.
Yes.
Did you have in mind that you were going to start this business here when you moved from Chicago?
Yes.
I think it was interesting. How did you select Brevard County as the place you wanted to start your company?
We were actually approached to open a franchise from a company up in Chicago, and he told us that we could go wherever we wanted. And we kind of got tired of the Chicago cold winters. We had been through 3 blizzards and kind of wanted to get out of up north. And we said, what better place than Florida? So I started calling around all over the state of Florida to talk to various assisted living facilities, independent living facilities, just to kind of get people's vibes of how the industry is down here, what's going on, how is it working. And a lot of the responses I got in Brevard County was that there's a lot of care, just not always the best kind of care, that it's kind of stagnant. And I spoke with some of those facilities about what my views were and how I wanted to run my company. And a lot of the responses I got was, when are you coming down? Let us know when you're coming down. So we kind of started the process to be able to move down and chose Melbourne to live in. We have 2 little girls, and we are a family-run business. So we thought Melbourne was a really good town to raise our children in also. And our office is located in downtown Melbourne, kind of in the heart of everything. And
Where is the office?
in 1900 building.
Oh, okay. That's one of the oldest buildings in downtown Melbourne.
Yes.
Or it is the oldest.
Yes. I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful building, and we were drawn to it immediately. I'm an architecture kind of guru, so
Okay.
I love that Art Deco look. It was nice.
Well, what I thought was interesting, and many of our listeners go to the same church that you go to, Holy Name of Jesus, and I asked them what mass they attended, and Christina said they go to the 4:30 mass, and they could hear them with all the noise at the back of church. And I said, well, I don't notice that because we go to the 8:45 mass, but. I look around when I go to church, and I look around every place. I see so many older people, and I see people that tend to ignore the fact that they are getting older, and they don't want to use a crutch. They don't want to use a walker. They want to have a thing that they're maintaining their independence. Christina, I think with your background, you can probably talk about this a little bit more to our listeners, because I think it's very important. You talked to me about training your people, and you made a comment about making a home safe.
Yes.
How about talking a little bit more about that in relation to what your company does and how you approach this? And then, Steve, as Christina is developing her, you figure out how you're going to tell our listeners what you want them to know about the company, okay?
Okay.
That's what the purpose of the show is.
No problem.
Because if I don't get out what my panelists do, there's no reason to have a radio show.
Right.
The radio show is to inform and educate and help connect people. It's your job to tell the listeners what to do. So you go ahead, Christina. You talk.
Quite honestly, when I first go out and meet a client, a lot of times the first half hour or so is just talking to them, seeing what their likes and dislikes are, what they want to be able to do, what maybe they haven't been able to do over the past few months and didn't even realize it because they're getting a little bit weaker or a little bit more afraid or a little anxious about something. And a lot of times it's those items that my company can help with. The non-skilled services like assisting with showers, assisting with dressing. A lot of our clients just like to go out and do some shopping, just get out of the house for a little while. And they like somebody to be able to drive them so they don't have to worry about the traffic and paying attention and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of times I just hear from them, it's those little social activities that just talking to somebody is half the battle because they don't have anybody to talk to sometimes at home. And so the assessment really starts with what they need personally. What do we need to keep them safe just from the inside? Having somebody to talk to, a listening ear type thing. And then I kind of branch out to the house because a lot of homes have safety hazards. There's no way around it, unfortunately. But there are some minor changes that could be made as long as the client's willing to make some of those minor changes to improve their safety. We do have some clients that don't want anything touched in their house. They want everything to stay the same. And that's where our caregivers are informed by me that those are the safety hazards we have to watch out for, or that's what we need to really keep an eye on to make sure that they're safe in those areas. But some of the minor changes are, picking up throw rugs, making sure if you have steps in the house that the railings are secure. Sometimes railings on both sides is better than on just one side. I use colorful electrical tape on steps sometimes to draw your attention that there's a change in the flooring surface or there's a change in the level of surface, whether or not it's a step or you're going from hardwood to tile or tile to carpet. Those little issues can really screw up your balance and create a fall hazard. So there's some little things that can easily be done to help make that house safer.
How about the issue of changing commodes and helping people understand the benefits of putting I want to call it a high-rise commode instead of the low-rise commode.
Right. Well, the nice thing about commodes is that they can actually be used multiple ways. And I know as we get older, a lot of the equipment can cost a good little chunk of change too. So I use a lot of equipment in multiple different ways. You can use a commode right next to your bed or right next to the recliner you sleep in or whatever for easy access, especially at nighttime, because that's a very unsafe time because you're asleep and it's dark and all that kind of stuff. You can have it right next to the bed, or you can put it over the toilet so it helps raise the seat of the toilet up. A higher seat height is much easier to stand up from than a lower seat height. Along with the handles that come on the side of the commode helps give you better leverage to push your body to stand up. Nice thing about commodes, they can be adjusted. So as a therapist, I will a lot of times start with the commode at the highest level to make it as easy as possible to stand up from. And as they get stronger, we can lower the height of the commode. So then it improves your ability to stand up from other chair surfaces, say in your house or at a restaurant or at a friend's house, at your daughter's house. So you're not always at this negative of, I have to have this high seat height to be able to go to the bathroom.
But you made a comment about people are sitting away, don't want to see their homes changed. I'm thinking here in terms of just the newer types of toilets they have, which the crockery itself is taller, and they just change the toilet, and people get the same appearance that their house has not changed yet in fact it has.
Right.
It's made it easier for them.
Yes. I think, though, buying a commode is probably cheaper than buying a new toilet, so a lot of times that looks more favorable when they first come home. Plus, as a caregiver and therapist, we can sell the idea that it can eventually go away if you don't need it anymore.
Right.
If you can get stronger, we can take the commode away and you're back to your normal toilet. So some people don't like that hoopla of somebody coming in and having to rip their old toilet out, put a new toilet in. Oh, it's higher. Oh, but mine flushed this way and I really liked it. Or, you get into routine and you like it. So commodes are an easy kind of middle ground that you can use. You can also use them in the shower to help for a seat when you're standing in the shower and bathing yourself. So they have multiple uses that you can kind of use them throughout the house.
Yeah, and one of the other things I've noticed that it's not that difficult to use a wheelchair in the shower if you have the right kind of a shower that you can wheel the wheelchair into the shower.
Yep. If there's a flat entry into the shower, totally. A lot of the older homes, though, don't have those kind of entry showers. And so we are dealing with things like tubs and like a little step into the shower. I know I've recommended just getting a plastic patio chair to sit in the shower with you. You can step in the shower and then there's that seat in there available for you. And it's an easy take it out, it goes away. My shower looks normal again. Doesn't look like I need that assistance. And those are the kinds of things that our company really does bring, because my outlook on everything is a little different being a therapist. I can help with all those different matters, make recommendations on where to go get them, make recommendations on what kind to get. And then a lot of times it's just a little bit of training from a skilled home care provider to be able to train the patient and the caregiver on how to use it. A lot of my caregivers already know how to use a lot of that equipment just from my own knowledge and background. But that kind of gives us that little extra edge. I know we've had 2 clients in the past where the wife was just very nervous about her husband going to rehab and asked me to meet her there. I met her there, was able to explain to her how the whole situation went with the nurses there and therapy and his room and how the meals were. Because of my background, I can provide that little extra tender, loving care to both the patient and the family to help make those transitions easier, or to answer all their questions that maybe aren't being answered by the doctor or the nurse, or, just general knowledge.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. Steve, what kind of licenses, when you're selling this to people, what kind of licenses do you tell people that what levels of care, I'll talk at levels of care, that you all can take care of and you can do?
We do anything. It's the non-skilled, non-medical care. So our employees, and they are employees, they're not independent contractors, which is also kind of an important note to make.
So they're all licensed through you? They're all okay. Yeah,
they're all they're covered. We have our own insurances that they're covered underneath. They all go through a level 2 background check through the state, which is required for anyone. But we are licensed through the state. It was a very long and rigorous process, and thankfully it's over. But so we are the non-skilled, non-medical home health care agency. And, we go all the way from, like Christina was saying before, the companionship type things, the running errands, doctor's appointments and so forth, to, the shower assist. We can do really anything inside of those parameters. The biggest difference, I think Christina really just touched base on this, is that our assessment process is a little bit different than some of the others, is that we do bring that experience with us when we come into your home, which, by the way, it's a free in-home assessment. We will come to you for this, and there's no charge. So even if you're just curious about, hey, maybe this might be something I'm interested in, I could start, we have no minimums either. So you could start for as little as an hour a week, and we could come to you, you could get an idea of how the experience is really going to benefit and affect you in your daily life. And, when Christina comes into the home, like she just went over, there's a whole process that we go through, and there is no time limit on this.
Let me ask you a question specifically. Let's say a lot of the people, as we get older, we become afraid of simply doing some things that 5 years ago we could do easily.
Right.
Now it's becoming more of a task. Putting things away, picking things up, hanging things up, reaching above your head as you get older becomes more difficult for
Right.
people.
Right.
And the reason I can talk about it is because I'm experiencing that. See, I know what it is. And I look at old Bill Riley on television. I'm going to wait for the guy to tell me that it's hard for him to do some of these things too. He
Right.
probably never will admit it.
No, I'll never admit it.
Yeah, he'll never admit it. But, you know, you can either make a little light of the situation you find yourself in, or you can become overly anxious about not being able to do something, when in fact there are ways to solve the problems, and that's what the two of you are talking about.
Exactly. And you had mentioned before maintaining independence, and that's actually part of our entire basis of our business. We are not there to take away anything from you. We are there to complement and really improve your quality of life. Like you said, there may be a little bit of a hesitancy or a fear, but once you've kind of reached that comfort level, that threshold with us, where you realize that we really are complementary to your daily activities, the reaching above the head, cleaning a ceiling fan, something that, a lot of people have done for many, many years. Well, maybe that's difficult for them now. And Lord knows we need our ceiling fans down here with this heat. So,
Do you all do things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do cleaning. We do pet care. We can,
Will you walk animals?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, look, we got 1 minute and 30 seconds left. We got a short side of the show on the other side. So you all, during the break, we're going to figure out what questions we're really going to talk about, because I want people to understand it. In the short time we have left here, what is there some kind of an idea people could have about what your fee would be? For how do you bill people?
Okay, so we're private pay. We do accept long-term care insurance, and we also accept the military aid and attendance. We have a tiered billing where we actually bill out 1 hour, 2 hours, and then 3 hours and beyond. And it's obviously tiered based on the number of hours that you're looking to get. But a lot of times we're finding people are signing up for 1 hour and realizing that, hey, I could use 4. So naturally, there's more value there at the end of the day. When you're adding a few hours, you're paying significantly less per hour once you get past that threshold. So
okay, during it, we're almost out of time. But during the break, let's just think about, how about coming back, when we come back, describe to our listeners how they can use your services to stay in a home instead of going into an assisted living facility.
Okay.
Cost basis. Folks, we got 12 seconds, 11 seconds, 10 seconds. We're going to take a mid-show break, and we'll come back on the other side and talk to you about a whole bunch more things that I think you're going to find very interesting. So stay with us and listen a little bit more about
Westwood One News at the top and bottom of the hour, here on AM 1060 WMEL.
This is Joe Steckler, folks. We're back live with the second half of the show with Christina and Steve Paff, owners of In-Home Personal Services. I want to mention my sponsors for the second part of the show, and I'll remind everybody that the phone number for Kay Kaiser, our information specialist, is 473-7770, and she'd be delighted to talk to you. The problem you have is getting her off the phone once she starts talking to you, folks. You just bend your ear to no end, but in a good way. In a good way. And that's great. Did I plug you right, Kay? Okay, you can't get back at me. But some of the sponsors of the second part of the show, folks, include Senior Scene Magazine, Hometown News, Spotlight Magazine, Seniors Helping Seniors, The Fountains of Melbourne, Courtney and Braswell Financial Advisors, Barbara McIntyre, Home Equity Specialist, and that's extremely important to know more about that, because more and more people are using reverse mortgages, and you can get yourself in a whale of trouble if you don't do it the right way. So be very careful what you do. Canadian Meds of Melbourne, Ear Care, Vitas Hospice, Aldea Today, and remind you again, In-Home Personal Services are our sponsor for today here in the studio with me. But I'd asked Steve and Christina about the qualifications of their caregivers, what they can do, how they're trained, and I also want both of them, and I'll remind them again to talk about how they keep track of this. There's a thing called nursing notes, and it's extremely important that we have a track record of what our companies do for the patients they care for. So that's your ballpark, Christina. Go, qualifications.
Our all of our caregivers are either home health aide or CNA trained. So they all come with different number of hours that they get training from the school. The minimum that we take is, I think it's 40 hours training, but they all come with CPR certification, the level 2 background screen, and then when they interview, I ask them specific questions from a therapy related side, and then also from like a behavioral side of how they handle situations with other clients and stuff to make sure that they have the ability to handle a wide range of clients. We also do quarterly in-services done by me to go over, proper transfer techniques, proper stair technique, how to help somebody out of bed, how to help somebody into the shower, or how to help somebody but kind of not helping them to help the patient keep their most independent way of life. There's ways that we can help without really doing the task for the client to help keep them strong and keep them feeling they're still in control. And we're just there kind of as eyes and ears to help with everything.
Okay, Steve, what would you add to that?
She really kind of nailed it as far as the qualifications go. It's really the same for everyone. I think that the biggest difference is we take it a step further with Christina's kind of in services, and that's what really gives us a little bit of a different perspective, is that they're getting that little extra training from us when they come on. And we really do take a very good look at our caregivers before we bring them on. We're very selective, and we really only choose the people that we feel would be the very best at what they do. And also, one other thing that I do want to touch on about our caregivers is that, our clients do have the opportunity to meet their caregivers, and if they have a preference other than what we think would be a good fit, we're certainly open to bring in other people for them to interview as well. I know sometimes families kind of have differing opinions, and there's a lot going on. So we are really here just to make this as easy a process as possible.
Do you find at times, Christina, when you go back and check and see how the situation is working out with the caregiver you've assigned, and you find that maybe the dynamics are not right and you change?
Yes. I can only do so much when I go into, do my assessment with the client and think, okay, they've got this kind of personality, this kind of demeanor, this caregiver would be great for them. And it may work out great for a week or two, or maybe even only a day. And I get a call from the client or the family. Things just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's, 100% a good fit. I have no problem bringing in one or two more people to say, would these fit a little bit better? Because the ultimate goal is for that client to feel very comfortable throughout the day with what that caregiver is helping them with, whether or not it's helping them get out of bed, helping them take a shower. Sometimes it's very personal, tasks that you're having them to do, and you need to feel comfortable with that.
So you have both male and female working for you?
Yes.
That's sometimes a personal preference. It's extremely important for the person to feel that, or believe that, or be comfortable with the person that's giving a care to them. Another thing that I think that is important for our listeners to know about your company is that while there are all types of caregiving companies, what you can provide for a very small incremental increase in price is extremely important for the customer to know about. And you both in the break have described to me that once you accept a client, you see what the client needs, and then you can suggest to the family that for a little bit more, that there's a lot more that could be done for that client. And I'm thinking in terms of, if you want to call it companion care, or if you want to call it nursing care, it can be, if a person, as we get older, we go between the home and rehabilitation, or go between therapy sessions, and somebody has to go with that person to feel comfortable with them. If a family member's not there, this is where your caregiver becomes extremely important, Christina.
Yes, we actually have had a few cases where we've had a client go into the hospital for some unforeseen reason, and I recommended that it was, a good idea for them to go to rehab to get that everyday therapy, really get stronger. but to bring the caregiver in to see the client every day for a few hours a day. Just to make sure that that client remembers that caregiver's face, maintains that comfort with them. So when they do transition home, they're ready to go. Along with, you're in a new environment. You don't know what's going on. You don't have anybody to talk to. It's great to see a familiar face of the caregiver to take them for a walk outside or have lunch with them or play cards or whatever their likes and hobbies are. And then I also really push the being a part of the therapy aspect, because if that therapist is teaching the client a new way of doing something to maybe help meet the deficits that they have from their prior hospitalization, that caregiver then can learn those techniques without having to make sure that the client passes that information along. 2 sets of ears are always better than one. So to have the caregiver there to say, okay, I'll remember how to do that, and I'll help remind you when we get home so we can keep doing it the right way so we don't fall again, or, we don't have a mess up again. So
you mentioned to me, though, and you document that type of thing, and what's referred to in the profession as nursing notes.
Yes.
And there are nursing notes and there are nursing notes. You both smile at that.
Ours are.
I think you know what I'm talking about.
We do. And, with Christina's education and background in the, on the Medicare side of things, we really use that to develop a very, very detailed note. And I'll let her elaborate more on it. But we had spent countless hours on this in the beginning, making sure that it was very specific, so that a lot of times, there are questions about what we do when we're there. And, you're spending a couple $1,000s a month to have someone come into your house and help. Well, you want to know what they're going to be doing. One particular case, the daughter lives out of town. I sent it to her so she could see specifically, here's the things that we will do when we are there. And this all translates into our plan of care. And they're really very transparent, so everybody knows what we're doing while we're there. They require a signature. Our caregivers, log their time on these things. Very detailed. Like I said, transparency is key, because we need to have a level of trust with our clients and their families, as well as them trusting us to take care of their loved one.
Okay. You mentioned, I asked a question about cleaning. When we mention the word cleaning, would it be more like a tidying up, or would it be a cleaning? Which would it be? It's
whatever you want when we're there.
You actually have people that do cleaning?
We have people that do cleaning. If you want someone to come in there for 4 hours in the springtime and do your spring cleaning, we can have someone come do that for you. There really are no limitations. It's
because it's all determined in the assessment that I do, and so that will determine what kind of caregiver we send in based on the task that is needed to be done.
What you're telling me, though, I'm not going to talk about price, but I will say this. That based on what you're telling me is that you could have somebody come in one of somebody's home and clean and get the house back together for a period of 4 hours for less than what I know somebody pays a cleaner to come in.
Absolutely. And, the great thing about that is when they do come in and clean, they've got that safety in mind that Christina talked about earlier in the show, where maybe they notice there's a throw rug that's kind of rolled up. Well, while they're cleaning, they may just kind of pick it up and put it aside.
Or somebody's having trouble getting around. There's
Absolutely.
no grab bars and there's no canes around.
Right. And while they're there, they're not, if they're there specifically to clean, that's all wonderful. But, let's say that there was another opportunity for us to step in and help out with something, just spur of the moment. Well, as caregivers, we're able to do that for them while we're in the house.
Throw a load of laundry in, or they're getting out of the chair and they're really having a difficult time, or they have an accident in the bathroom. We can help with all those things. So we're not just there to clean. Our plan of cares cover anything that they're allowed to do, so they can step in and assist. And a lot of that.
You said maybe I misheard. You said Medicare?
No, plans of care.
No, plans of care.
Plans of care.
Yes,
okay,
plans of care.
Every client has a plan of care that details what the state of Florida will allow our caregivers to do in their house or in their place of residence to help them out. And so when they go in to see a client and to do whatever task that the client's asking them to do, our documentation is all check boxes and some writing space to be able to put as much detailed information as possible. Because what I do is we look at those on a regular basis, and we also get updates often from our caregivers about how clients are doing. But we've used it before to catch a potential UTI coming on, a urinary tract infection, or potential pneumonia. Client before was only standby assist for getting out of a chair, and all of a sudden they were minimal assist. That's a big change. And as we get older, even the smallest change in your body can really affect you quickly. So catching things quickly on the medical side is very important. And that's how we use those very detailed daily visit notes to be able to catch some of those things and then get on the phone to the family or get on the phone to the doctor's office to say, we think there may be something going on.
Yeah, but with your credentials, Christina, you can do that. Can your caregivers do the same thing?
What my caregivers do is when they fill out the daily visit note, I look over them, and they also call me when they're there. They know they can call me at any point in time. So I have caregivers that will call and say, I got in here today, and she was really short of breath. And I'll say, we need to call the skilled company that's seeing them under Medicare to find out if the nurse can come out to assess the situation.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're checking the whole status of care of the client.
Correct.
Yes. Everything is a communication between the client to the caregiver to me. And then because of my background, I can best direct where we need to go. Do we need to call and make an appointment with the doctor's office? Well, we're not necessarily doing that, but the client's saying, I agree, I do feel a little bit off. Let's make an appointment to the doctor. So it's an integrated multidisciplinary team approach to help keep that client safe, independent, in their home, and happy.
Which is actually, as I don't know of another company that is really geared to do things the way you're doing them.
We are very detail oriented to keep them safe.
But you indicated there is a specific set of instructions that the state of Florida issues that you can check off?
Oh no, it's all based on the Florida rules and regulations and the guidelines that they give us in order to obtain our license.
Okay.
So what we did is we took those guidelines and basically translated them into our plan of
your
care.
Own guidelines?
Well, we used theirs, but just adopted them as our own.
Well,
so
that's
that
a smart way to do
we
business.
know that
You
we're in
can't be questioned
compliance
on that.
no matter what. Exactly.
So that then becomes part of the nursing notes.
Yep, it sure does. And that's something that we leave behind a welcome packet, and all that information is also left with the client and their family, so they've got access to it at all times.
Do you really like what you do, Christina?
I absolutely love what I do. I love going in and seeing the struggle that somebody's having and looking at them and saying, no worries, I got this. We'll figure it out. There's no problem here. And within a week or two, they're calling me back going, okay, well, now I need help with this. No worries. They go, you never say no to me. And a lot of times what clients need the most is just somebody to say that there's help out there to give them.
I know that you don't, we're talking about payment, your private pay, insurance.
The long-term care
Long-term
insurance.
care.
And I was going to mention that so many people do not realize in the fine print in their long-term care insurance that the services you provide are paid for in that policy, and it doesn't even affect what they might have to say. If you used your services for 2 years, they may still have 2 or 3 years left for assisted living or nursing home.
Right.
Yes.
But people don't understand. They simply just don't understand
Right.
this.
Every policy is different, and every insurance company actually has different guidelines. So we've had a few clients where, they're just they've had it, and we've been seeing them, and I'm like, we need to call them, see what your benefits are. They can help cover the bill and everything. And they're just so nervous because they don't know the right questions to ask, or they can't hear well enough on the phone to fully understand what they're saying. And so I'll come and call on the phone, and a lot of times the insurance company just needs the client to say, yes, I am here. You can please talk to Christina. And then we will get the details together, and I can help them fill out the forms. We can help with those kinds of tasks to get them
Okay.
the coverage.
We also, in a discussion during the break, you talked about the Veterans Administration.
Yes.
What can your company do with regard to helping veterans?
It's really the same as a lot of the others can do. We will help you we can't really help you get the benefit, the aid and attendance. We work with a few groups in the area that will help you. We can be used as a resource for information for that. And then we can help you, to fill out the forms and stuff with, with your assistant.
We're talking about is veterans aid and attendance.
Absolutely, the aid and attendance.
Okay, so I should have said that.
Oh, it's okay.
But my point was that you're very familiar with all the benefits that vets are entitled to.
Yes.
And with approximately 65,000 veterans in Brevard County and another 100,000 that have some kind of a connection to those veterans, we're talking about half the population of Brevard County are could in some way be eligible for veterans aid and attendance benefits of some type. And we find so many World War II, Korean, and Vietnam widows, unremarried widows of veterans that have no idea they're eligible, in some cases for as much as $1,200 or $1,400 a month.
Right. Yes. And it really is. It's a shame that people don't really take advantage of it more often, because everyone has earned that money for their care, and we've got nothing but respect for that, and we want to see as many people take advantage of it as possible. So we are more than willing to help out where we can with that.
Two things I do want to talk about in a very short time we got left. You provide transportation.
Yes.
Does that transportation throughout Brevard County?
Yes.
Wow.
We have a client that likes to drive to Cape Canaveral and back. He lives in Vieira, so we just
likes to drive down the coast.
Take him up and down.
Wait a minute, he does what now?
He just likes to drive up and down the coast, so that's what we do for a couple hours with him.
All of our caregivers have to have valid car insurance, and then our company also has the insurance for them to drive them. They can either drive them in their own cars, the caregiver's car, or in the client's car. So if you want to get out and, maybe you don't have a car anymore or whatever, it doesn't matter. We can send a caregiver over and you can still go out and joyride.
Something, at all the darn years I've been doing this, I never thought about just having somebody drive somebody around.
Yep.
It's like, think of the movie Driving
Miss Daisy.
Yep.
We joke about that all the time, actually.
There's so much you can learn in talking to people. And when you get on the air with a show this type, when I didn't know you two from Adam, but I can think of 1,000 more questions I could ask you based on what you're opening up new things here that generally we don't think about. People that are caring for somebody long term, they just are worried about that person sitting in the house watching a TV set.
Right.
When in fact, they could come out and be driven. It's amazing what you can do, because seeing, just being outside and going up to the park up at Cape Canaveral is probably the most enjoyable.
Oh yeah,
people.
Yeah. He loves it. He's a Navy man, and he just wants to get out and just go get some fresh air, and that's all we do.
Yeah, well, be careful. Go get out and look for the alligators.
Well, that's true. Not too far.
I have a hard time seeing the alligators. My grandchildren can see the alligators a lot better than I can. But this is the purpose of this radio show, helping seniors. We get panelists on here that talk about what they do, and it helps our listeners develop maybe different ways that they can entertain themselves, different ways they can help themselves. A lot of people are afraid to go to the doctor when they get older because they're afraid of going by themselves.
Right.
But this is something you can do.
Yep.
We also have people that, we have one client in particular where all we do for her is take her to doctor appointments, because she just wants someone with her. She knows that Christina can, if they talk beforehand, if there's questions that maybe we could help her to ask that she needs answered, we can kind of direct her in that way. And another thing I want to touch on is this isn't limited to just homes. We work with some facilities, some assisted living, independent living facilities where, maybe the bus trip to Walmart's on every Monday, but they want to go on Wednesday. Well, we go on Wednesday and we take them out shopping. Really the sky is the limit. And
it's whatever the client needs. And that's why we emphasize to everybody, call us, talk to us on the phone. A lot of times what you're needing or what you're looking for.
What is your phone number? We haven't even talked. We're almost out of time. What's your phone number?
Our phone number is 321-984-0900. 0706.
Say it again, Steve.
321-984-0706.
And if you haven't, I always tell everybody or ask everybody to get a pencil and paper out when I first start the show, because I know there's always so many things they can write down, and people who are shut-ins can have very active minds, and I think it's important for them to know about companies like yours. Yes. Well, we've got 42 seconds. I'll let you have the last couple of seconds, Christina. What would you say to our listeners?
I would say that there is help out there. Don't do it yourself. Let us come and do it with you. Provide that companionship, be there with you, and make your life the quality of life as good as it can be. Don't sit there by yourself and think about all the negatives. Get out and go to lunch with somebody and go shopping and, help.
Well, a lot of people might want to go to Beaver Brady's and get a hamburger.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, but
We
Just
can
have
do
fun.
that.
when we get older and we have the danger of losing our ability to be mobile, it's time to start thinking. I want to thank you both for being on the show
Thank you very
today.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly.